What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your new moon reading, Gemini. We're going to hop right on in. I already set the intention and said my little intention prayer, so let us away. We're doing an understory reading, which means we're taking a look at very apropos of new moon energy. By the way, this is looking at what's going on beneath the surface. The understory is just this rich place. There's so much life there. There's so much life happening there. Things growing, blooming, blossoming, generally speaking, all times of year. Even beneath the snow, it's still teeming with life, right? So yeah, we're going to take a look at that and see where this takes us. So let us away and hop right on in for you, Gemini. Spirit, what messages do you have for Gemini for this new moon in Leo reading, for this understory reading? So we have motion and air. Some things you can't see, maybe. And we have solitariness and desert. I'm almost getting that you're not, like, maybe there's things happening that you're not talking to people about. Like the motion tells me that there's like a movement forward of some kind, but it's something that not everyone can see. Like I think about this in terms of there's a character in the Harry Potter movies, and by character I mean an animal, but they're still characters, called the Thestrals. And the Thestrals you can only see if you've come close to death, right? And I thought about it as a brilliant tool to I don't know, just to talk about trauma and how kids who have seen a lot of shit, like there's certain things that only they can see, right? So I think about it in that way, where it's like there's something that you can see that no one else can see because of who you are, and not because of trauma or anything like that. It's just there's something that it's like, and this could be just intuitive stuff like synchronicities and all of that jazz. Yeah, synchronicities, all of it. But there's a solitariness here, so you might have been in like a sort of inward facing phase. You could have been in that stage. And I mean, what I'm hearing is, yeah, okay. People can be dicks, Gemini. People really can, but that doesn't mean you have to retract yourself, because they say and do things that are just intentionally mean or cruel or sarcastic or awful or problematic. Like, you don't have to retract yourself. And you might have felt like a little bit isolated. Like, I don't know why I'm picking up on that energy. I don't know why I'm picking up on that here. Yeah, abundance. This is the King of Pentacles. That's what you're inhaling, is this sense of abundance. I think you're leaving behind this sense of solitariness. And I don't think it's isolation or loneliness, right? Because I feel like we live in a world that prioritizes extroversion in a way that, makes it so that if you enjoy being by yourself from time to time, or for, periods of time, it's like you're looked at as like funny, like you're weird because you can be on your own and you don't need constant noise. You don't need that kind of stimulation, like constant overstimulation. Thank you so much. Ugh. You don't need, like, it gets to that point. So it's like maybe you're disconnecting from opinions of other people. I don't know what's happening there. I'm going to clarify it in a minute with the Rider Tarot, but let me pull these cards here. No? Okay. Of course not. What's this solitary energy, Spirit? Five of Swords, Five of Wands, the Star. Yeah, I think you've been healing from some conflict. You're coming out the King of Wands, though. Yeah, I think it's healing from conflict here. Five of Swords, Five of Wands. Feeling like you needed to win at all costs. And again, it's just like a lot of other people, right? A lot of other people being louder than your own intention setting and your own, I guess, like your own guidance. That's the Star, right? Your own guidance. This is more Aquarian energy, but still, it is a sense of hope and healing and having a light to look towards and to look forward to. Yeah. So we have the King of Pentacles. Spirit, what additional messages do you have for me, for my Geminis? I think you're being called to look at how much you have around you, as opposed to, like all of the other, like I'm almost seeing this as like horsemen of the apocalypse. I shouldn't laugh when I say that, but it's almost like there might have been something that that you could feel, but that wasn't appearing on the ground. And because you might have been used to seeing things more from a like, oh my God, it's coming perspective. That could be it too. But I think also that the, motion in the air, it's like I'm seeing like a cool front come through, right? Like after, it often happens that with where I live, like systems will go like this. Like there'll be like huge thunderstorms everywhere around, and then they'll just like, here I live here, and it's like bloop, and then it just reforms on the other side of where I live. So it's like you'll have this beautiful cool down after an intense period of humidity and heat. So it's like it's so cool. I love it. But nonetheless, very dry conditions, but still. I feel like maybe that's like, it's like the air feels dry, but there's just this sort of change in the wind that I'm getting, like a change in the wind. So I think it's important for you to inhale, like that's also wind, that's also air. It's important for you to kind of inhale and breathe in the pentacle energy here, to breathe in that abundance, because there is a lot flowing, but you just have to be in the place of seeing it, right? You have to be in the place of seeing it. So we have the King of Wands and the Three of Swords, which is isolation and solitude. The outsider. Jesus, Gemini. Okay. Okay, that's why. I feel like, so you took a pause, I think, to see things from a different perspective. I think to see things from a different perspective is the Hanged Man energy. Maybe you did feel a little bit like an outsider, right? So now we have all the fives here. Technically speaking, we have the Five of Pentacles, the Five of Swords, the Five of Wands. So probably some conflict that left you on the outs a little bit, either with yourself or with something else. But the King of Wands is what we're exhaling, and it's like this depth of fire and creativity, knowing who you are, right? Like it's like, remember who you are. Don't get so caught up in, remember who you are, Gemini. Shit. Don't get caught up in the idea that it has to be another way, or that there has to be a different way of doing this. Like there's you bringing you. It's like you making, it's a fire element, so it's not air, but I feel like, the motion and the change that you're here represented in this card. But I'm seeing more that this fire, this King of Wands, is like the spark of it. It's like what fuels the flame. It's like finding your inner fuel, your creative fuel. And I think that there's something about your position, like the position that you're in is very, very abundant, probably more than you thought, maybe more than you thought or understood. More than you thought or understood. So we have the Nine of Cups. Yeah, that's you have more than you think you do. And I think that if you rely on other people to validate that, right? Five of Swords and Five of Wands. If you rely on other people to validate that, it's going to throw you outside of yourself, and you will eventually land outside of integrity with yourself, which will necessitate a period of going within so that you can realign with yourself, right? So that you can realign with your priorities, so that you can realign with your power. King of Wands, because that's how you make excellent decisions for your best and highest good, because you're able to have this sort of clarity of intention, a clarity of intention. And it also, honestly, it also enables you to be able to be true. It's like your authenticity gets back into your creations, right? And we also have the Eight of Swords. So that's where it's like I think you're doubting yourself a little bit, because, when you get into a wheel position, when the wheel is loud, when that energy is really loud, there's Three of Wands on the bottom. When the wheel is loud and you're in a position or territory you haven't been in, or it feels unfamiliar, you might be inclined to feel like you don't know enough. The Eight of Swords, like there's limiting beliefs about what's possible because you're caught mentally, like you're stuck in that place. But this is you having all of it within you. I mean, this is like, kind of a magician card. To me, it's like, I almost see it as like the Nine of Wands is like the pre-emperor position. The Nine of Pentacles could be the pre-empress position. I almost see the Nine of Cups as like the pre-magician, right? Just because it's got like that emotional depth to it, and I think of it as your why, right? What stirs the heart space that lights a flame? This King of Wands, what does that? What is your why do you want a thing, right? Why do you want a creative project to work? Why do you want a specific job or a type of work? Why do you want all of these things to come to fruition, right? That activates and mobilizes. It puts a manifestation into motion. It sets it into motion. Let's see here, Spirit. What messages do you have for my Gemini collective? Just all the cards, super casual. We have the Knight of Swords, the Strength card, and the Nine of Wands. I think the abundance is going to, tapping into the abundance around you and remembering and staying connected to that is going to help you to move forward confidently and leave behind a lot of struggles. And it's also going to help you recognize the opportunities that are meant for you. Because when you're under this moon, it's like an indecisive energy. Like it's in the Eight of Swords, right? That's a variation of it to me. 11:11 on the time. It's like it makes it so that it's tough to see all the details, but it isn't until you get into this Leo position of confidence and knowing yourself that you're going to see which opportunity is for you. You're going to see opportunities that are for you that would otherwise not be, right? Like this is the upright meaning of the card. And yes, this is an intuitive reading of it, but it's okay. But I feel like that's kind of where you're shining right now, Gemini. It's like I'm hearing the alchemical process, turning it to gold. Turning it to gold. Six of Wands. I'm getting a lot of like something or someone standing out from the crowd. That's because I see that with this here. Right, we see that with this, and then I also see that with the Six of Wands showing up this way. Sorry, Seven of Wands. It's a more of an advocacy card, but in a way, it's almost like the energy is advocating. Oh my goodness, right? That's a word. Completely. Good Lord. Advocating. It's almost like the energy is advocating for you behind the scenes to make it easier for you to see this. There's like an idea, and it's like I see this almost as like spirit advocating on your behalf so that you can see this King of Wands. Could be a King of Wands. You're exhaling your creative power, and I'm hearing prowess. Okay. you're hearing that. Good Lord, I'm a little tired today, Gemini, but anyway, you're better able to see it and to respond to that Seven of Wands energy. It becomes more apparent. It becomes more apparent to you what merits your energy and output, right? You don't blow this out. I think this is the one that you're seeing. This is like almost a hermit energy where it's like a torch being held up. And we have the Knight of Cups, and I think this could be related to or connected to love and relationship, Gemini. The Knight of Cups isn't necessarily enough to warrant that, but I feel like there's some kind of heartfelt offer here. This could be like advice, like really good advice that someone gives you. This could be advice you get. This could be, this could be advice you get. This could be somebody like asking you out on a date. This could be flirting. In terms of if this is more career and work oriented, this could be you aligning with. This could be aligning with things that kind of give you like it's like work that brings you back to your center, that brings you back to the core of your spark, that brings you back to that that baseline, right? That baseline. Judgment. Yeah. It's like things that bring you back to your baseline. This is Cancerian energy in the Chariot more. There's the Nine of Cups. It's like you make it, it allows you to, and I feel like this is more like a catalyst energy, this Knight of Cups. So it's like, that's where I don't know if it's a person as much as it is an opportunity that crosses your path, be it through, again, I feel like it's advice, like you're getting advice from somewhere that helps you make a really big decision for yourself, not because you have information that you didn't have before, right? Because this Eight of Swords is limiting beliefs. It's not necessarily a lack of information that you can't see. This is you throwing yourself into a position of not being able to see clearly. Um, mhm. And I think the way forward is through this sort of advice you get. Advice can come in many forms, right? Advice can be information you find on YouTube. It can be, it can be songs you hear on the radio. It can be conversations with friends, actual advice where someone's like, hey, you're doing this thing, and I feel like you could do it like super easy if you just make these 2 to 3 changes. Everything will be different, right? Like it finds me, I'll be scrolling through Instagram and I'll see some stuff that Gary V will put up, Gary Vaynerchuk. I'll see stuff that he puts up, and it's just like it hits, like it resonates, and I'm like, okay, right, got it, right? That's the kind that kind of thing could be coming up, but it helps you to move forward, and very decisively so with this Judgment card. Um, there's like a sense of inner peace. And I think that the Nine of Cups going into this exhale position, then being clarified by the Nine of Cups, tells me that you're integrating that energy, and then it's not something you weren't just in this Nine of Cups in a way that's like, oh, I'm inviting something in. This is like emotional abundance to an extent. It's like, no. You're embodying that through and through, and it's something you're carrying with you into where you're headed next, whatever this decision brings about, right? And so I feel like that is important to note, that it's not like a passing thing, like, oh, I'm in the Nine of Cups and that's what brought me here, and then it's like you drop that off as soon as you make the decision. No, the decision is actually facilitating a continuation of that Nine of Cups, right? We can be in a Nine of Cups and Nine of Pentacles, like, oh, we're, single energy, like we're good on our own, that kind of thing. But you can also be, in a Nine of Cups with someone else who's in a Nine of Cups or Nine of Pentacles place too, and that's like healthy, whole, and complete relationship coming together. The Ten of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups isn't because, like you're bringing your stuff together, right? Like you're meeting in this whole place, at least the way that this is coming through in this reading, right? It shows up differently every time, but I think that's how it's coming through. So this is almost like an even exchange, and it's like taking ownership and good boundaries as well, if this is related to work or creative projects, where it's like we don't have that like sort of low-key scope creep where it's like you take on one task and then 6 different tasks actually become yours in the process, because people know you'll just do it, right? So they know that you'll just do it. So it's like, why would they bother doing it? And that's not like... It's not like a bitter energy at all. And I'm not being sarcastic either. Sometimes that's what happens, right? And if you're in a pinch and there's not enough of you to do a task, sometimes that's how the chips fall, right? So I think it's about boundaries with that. And that could be the energy that you're moving into with if this is a different job, if this is a different work opportunity, it could be that as well, right? It could absolutely be that as well. Okay, Spirit, what messages do you have for my Geminis? So we have the Six of Cups, balance. I feel like you're coming back into balance. Like what's beneath the surface and what's above the surface are starting to even out. So it's not like this. I think about through storms. We had a really bad. It's called the derecho, and it like ripped through parts of southern Ontario. And the trees it was unreal. There were like several hundred-year-old trees that were uprooted. I was driving back from my granny's, and I just remember it looked like carnage on the sides of the roads where there wasn't a deep root system, because the trees could just be, it's like they were snapped in half. Like it was unreal. But I feel like that's where it's like this depth of a root system that you're starting to build for yourself internally. So I feel like this energy of kind of taking a pause and taking a break, and the things that might have thrown you into this place of solitariness, end up being the best things that happen to you, in what you're not just making the best of things, you're seeing that they needed to happen for you to be really honest with yourself and to get very real with yourself about where you were and where you wanted to go, because that's how roots grow, right? Roots grow because we're being honest with ourselves, and we're tending to things. We're tending to things. Yeah. And we're being honest with where we are and what we need, right? There's a tree that someone gave me a tree, which sounds the most random fucking sentence. But someone gave me a tree and I brought it to the house here, and I was like, well, I don't have a home, so here you go. And I did research on it, and you have to transplant it at different times of year. So you can't transplant it after it has the buds and the pollen start to come out. You can't transplant it after that. You can technically, but it will make it harder for the roots to take root. So it's like understanding these like critical movements, these judgment card decisions, and knowing where to emplace yourself in them and what will work best for you and what won't. And not just like, oh, this is going to work out great, but like understanding and being very intentional about decisions and moves that you make, being very strategic, right? Yeah. Being very strategic. King of Pentacles. Yeah. King of Pentacles is not so much, I mean, it's a strategic energy. I feel like all of the kings get there because of that. There's an aspect of that, but I feel like this is methodical. Thank you so much. That's the one so this is like methodical. It's being very methodical. And I think that's what's helping these roots to grow. And I think that being easy with yourself, as this has taken some time, Gemini, as this has taken some time to get here, like I feel like this is sort of the story of a healing process, but also the story of coming out from your little hidey hole, right? Like coming out from your little hidey hole. Yeah. And then some, the Emperor. And the Empress. Oh, good. And the Hanged Man. Wow. Okay. I'm going to pull one more here. You came out of your hidey hole, like with a counterpart, I guess. What? No, but so it's like you went and kind of tucked yourself away, took care of your energy. And I feel like this is what could be waiting on the other side. If this is not counterpart energy, because you're not, coming to this for relationship purposes or anything like that, this can just be ways that you're, okay, my cat just jumped down and I wanted to make sure she was okay because it sounded like her tail hit the water bottle. But this could be energies coming together within you, right? Like your deeply creative, receptive side merging and that energy coming into union with this action-oriented energy that is a lot of fire, right? So your Venus and Mars coming together. Yeah. Your Venus and Mars coming together. And I think that there's something about pace where you had to see it happen. Like you started to, I'm almost hearing, so this is funny, 2222 on the time. I heard you had to believe it before you could see it. And I think that's where it's like you came out of this little hidey hole and you're like, well, shit, that was out there the whole time. Right? So I think it's like, it was something that you had to wait to see. But waiting while you were doing all of this other incredible work. And I think that's part of this fate. Like there's something destined about this. This is like, I think a bit about your path and destiny. Yes, on the one hand. But I think it's understanding how much power you had in that. And that it wasn't happening to you. It was happening for you. So Gemini, that's what I got. That's one hell of a new moon reading. I mean, you're coming out of you're coming out of your spot. And I mean, what? Like who oopses themselves into a freaking counterpart energy? Like, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Oops. Like, but I mean, it isn't so much an oops, but it just, it's very stark energy. You're just doing your methodical thing. You're building these roots and, you're taking care of yourself. This is very interesting to me. I'm going to point this out here. Maybe you're the Emperor, right? You could be dealing with an Aries or a Libra or Taurus, but it's like you're developing your roots and then you end up, showing up as the Emperor. And what ends up happening is you're crossing oh, hi, Chicken Little. You're crossing paths with your Empress, or you are the Empress and you're finding your Emperor, whatever that means. Gemini, that's what I got. If this resonated, please give it a like and subscribe. I'd love to have you on the channel if you're not already. If you are, though, thank you so much for joining me here. I really appreciate your energy and your time, so thank you for that. There are other ways you can connect with me on the channel, but if this is where we leave it, I hope that wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, it finds you very well. Take care, Gemini.